And we are live.
Hello, hello, and welcome cellists of the NS Design family to Connect 2021, our virtual online event. I'm going to call everyone out, and you can introduce yourself. Tell us what band you play with or what institution you work with, and tell us a little bit something that you're excited about right now, these days, or today, or this minute. Maddy Herdeman, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world.
I am a cellist with the band Mystery Loves Company. We are based in Houston, Texas. We play original music. We're a group of two singers, guitar, NS electric cello, clarinet, and drums. And something I'm excited about is spending the isolation time writing music and teaching online. I'm able to teach people online, who live all over the country, and also online learning, online summits. Not being able to go to them in person, I thought was going to be a big issue. I didn't know how that learning for me was going to move online, but I've felt extremely inspired and connected to other musicians by going to these summits online.
Fantastic. Thank you, Maddy. And she and Mystery Loves Company had a great video premiere at 2 o'clock today of a song called Ooh La La. So encourage you all to check that out. Calum Ingram, what's going on in your world?
All right. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. This is really fun. And you just said my name. My name is Calum Ingram, and I'm a singer-songwriter cellist. I played CR5, 5-string cello, and this guy over here. No, you can't see it. Where is it? There it is. But I play for my own band, and but I also, what I've been doing during lockdown, which has been a really cool thing, is I help run an organization called Musicians in Exile that helps musicians that are refugees and asylum seekers kind of have community. And we ran it before lockdown, but we've been keeping that going and writing music with all the asylum seekers and refugees. So that's a really amazing thing. I've been keeping afloat with a lot of publishing stuff. I've been writing a lot, performing a lot of live stream gigs, just trying to keep my energy up, keep writing, keep performing, and just doing my thing,
Fantastic. Thank you, Calum. And your video for Demonize is premiering at 4 o'clock right after this session. So hopefully everyone can tune in and check it out. Guy Michel, tell us how things are in your world.
So as you can see, my name is spelled Guy, but it's pronounced Guy, the French version, because I'm Haitian. I'm a solo artist based in South Florida right now. So winter is like 75. I'm very excited because during the pandemic, I was able to really slow down and write a book, which is basically teaches classical musicians how to practice in order to improvise, because I do a lot of freestyle with different DJs and just different musicians. I write for producers and stuff like that. I make beats as well. Right now, I actually have a song releasing in 2 days. It's a dance, like EDM music, and the video will come out on the 22nd, which is the Friday, the following Friday. So I'm very excited about that. Other than that, it's just me making music, just write and practice. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Guy. We look forward to hearing this new song. Kristen Jones, what's in your world?
Hey, great to be here. So I'm Kristen Jones. I'm based in Baltimore, Maryland. My main project is a group called Iliami, which is an acronym for I love you and I miss you. People often go, what language is that? It's an acronym. And I also play with an Appalachian and Americana group called Lulu's Fate. Hope to be doing more with them when things calm down a bit. I do string ensembles for weddings and events with a group called Music by Anthem. Sometimes with electric instruments, we haven't gotten to do that in a while, but that's in the mix. And then just freelance recording and performing. Anybody who wants cello, work with a lot of singer-songwriters, recording and performing. And yeah, I guess what's going on now, Iliami's been doing a weekly live stream. I think tonight, it's every Wednesday. I think this is number 43. So we're keeping it that. And just starting to work on ideas for a solo, either live stream or a video premiere, to get more cello out there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kristen. Mr. Brian Webb, what's on your world?
Hey guys, my name is Brian. I am based in Los Angeles. I am a cellist and singer with a band called Streetlight Cadence. In that role, I've been a producer for our band's Emmy-nominated TV show, We'll Play for Food, 3-time Billboard charting, brought this cello, flown it to Bahamas, Canada, Japan, multiple times, Hawaii, multiple times. Can't say enough about how wonderful it is to put a cello overhead on a plane. Currently working on a solo album, Jack of Hearts, first album from me, and also looking at making some more releases with the band soon, but naturally, live playing is dead. So just having fun with the computer world in the meantime.
Thank you, Brian. Katie Larson, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. Yeah, my name is Katie. I play in a band, folk rock trio called The Accidentals, and we are based part-time in Michigan right now, where it's freezing cold, and part-time in Nashville. And super excited to put out new music. We've been on the road pretty much 200 days a year for 6 years, so we are able to put out new music, starting with a new single at the end of the month. But I'm also really excited about these things we've been coming up with for our Patreon page. So we're about to lead our first interactive Dungeons and Dragons campaign with some of our fans in a week or so. So I'm pumped about that.
Awesome. I want to be a part of that. That sounds cool.
That's right. Yeah. Come on in.
Thanks. Mr. Greg Byers, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Corey. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Greg Byers. I'm a cellist, bassist, multi-instrumentalist, composer, arranger, producer. I wear a lot of hats like a lot of other people on this call today. I am involved in several projects. My solo project's called By Yourself. I have a dueling strings band called the String Showdown. I have a project with another NS Ernest B song and gentleman David Feely. We're called the Minneapolis String Project. And I just do a bunch of freelancing with all sorts of folks. I'm also an educator. I teach at the McPhail Center for Music here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I apologize I could not be on the educator Zoom last night because my jazz combo had our first meeting in 2 months in person with plexiglass shields and social distancing and masks for the rhythm section. So it was a real treat to get back together with them. So that's one thing I'm excited about. And the other thing I'm excited about today, I will be presenting a session at the American String Teachers Association conference about individualistic career development. And so I'm super excited because I've been reaching out to a couple people in the string world that I've been very inspired by, asking to do some interviews for this pre-recorded panel. So I'm very excited about putting that together today.
Very good. Congratulations. That's killer. And Mr. Zack Clark, thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Sure, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. I'm Zach. I play the cello. I've got a CR4. I don't really have my standout right now. Custom slate gray. I thought the gray was cool. And I play in a band called Simply Three. It's a cello and a bass and a violin. And we like to do covers and original songs as well, and a lot of music videos. And so I do a lot of music video production, and I help Nick out. He's our bass player, with producing and engineering and writing and arranging and everything like that. And our violinist is Glenn. He just moved to Texas, but we're still, flying him out, and we're working on producing more music videos and more songs, writing, arranging, and all that stuff, just trying to keep producing content. You know, like you guys said, live music is not happening right now. So we're just instead of putting like half and half into live shows and like the online stuff, we're just putting everything onto the online stuff right now and just trying to get even more content out and hopefully streams and subscribers, etc. You know, just goes up more. And we're working on our Patreon as well. So just trying to fill that void, with the online stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. And thank you so much. Your videos are so fun, as well as so many others here. Brian, Webb, Calum, Maddy and Guy and Katie and Kristen, you all have been just doing all this great live streaming. And I don't know how you do it, Kristen. You guys are on every week for hours, and it's amazing. But why don't I'll let you all take the floor here, and why don't you talk a little bit about some of the successes that you may have had this year, and maybe some of the difficulties you've had, and how they might have affected you, and share away. Let's hear your stories.
I guess since you called me out for live streaming, I'll start. Yeah, we really dove into that at the beginning of all this. There was a big learning curve, and it's all credit to my husband, Rob, who plays guitar and sings as one of the songwriters in the band. He does all the tech stuff. So thank you, Rob. The live streaming is, as we know, not a substitute for live gigs, but it's been able to connect us to fans that we don't see very often. In the before times, we used to tour frequently, and we have really dedicated fans out on the West Coast, Southwest, Midwest, that they maybe see us every like 5 years. Now they can tune in with us every week, and we've got just this great community going. And getting new fans just by people, sharing on Facebook. Your friend tunes in like, hey, I like these guys. It's awesome. So it's been a good thing for us. And I think even when we return to live performing, we're going to keep doing that. We're sort of reevaluating like, okay, we can do a live show for people do a live stream for people who want to tune in and listen, and will send us money for doing so. Maybe we don't have to do so many of the like just for the paycheck gigs that are kind of taxing on you. So yeah, that's been a good thing for us. I've been doing some home recording and video collaborations with other singer-songwriters, which is great. And difficulties for sure. I think I want to go ahead and normalize, like, it's been a tough time for everybody, and not everybody is out there like writing their masterpiece right now. Like, you might feel like you have the time to do so, but maybe not the headspace. And that's okay. Like, you're doing good. Want to say to everybody. So yeah.
Thank you. That was a really wonderful encouragement for all of us. And I wonder too, just a question I have, what is the long-term effect of this change of venue? For example, if you're in the office space business, you're probably in pretty rough shape, because people have learned, they can work at home. They don't have to travel to work and so on. And so maybe people don't have to go, out. They could just sit at home and enjoy the music. And maybe that's good. Maybe that's not so good, because then there's that immediate interaction that's lost. I wonder, what do you think the long-term effects of this pandemic and the kind of new world we live in, what does that lead us to? Just curious about your thoughts.
I personally think that audiences are looking forward to going back to seeing live music. There's the convenience factor of now I never have to get up and go anywhere. But I think audiences, just from what I've heard people saying, they are very eager to actually they prefer the experience over the convenience. And when you're at home and you can be watching anything, it's just, you're so overwhelmed with choices. that I think that is an inconvenience to people, and they prefer to just be invited to something and just have a place where they go and just listen to one show. I think it will return to that. I don't know if I'm being naive, but I truly do think that.
Well, guys, I think. Oh, can I say something? Or is it cool? All right, cool. I definitely, guys. Oh my god, I miss live shows so much. Like, I love doing the online streaming and the videos and stuff, but I don't know. I've definitely struggled with not having that like reaction with the audience. I really like my whole thing has kind of been around that, like how I established myself more of as an artist wasn't really online. It was really, I just played and played and played and played and played live. And I just love the energy back from the audience, like I said. And it's just like, to me, that's like almost everything, I really, really, really miss that, because, when the audience goes wild, you get a little more wild, and it's like a ping pong table back and forth, and you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And yeah, so that's been a real struggle for me, but like, but there's been interesting times where I've been doing online shows, and you almost kind of get a similar kind of thing from the messages, but it's not the same. And definitely, I don't think I mentioned, but I'm in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland, and man, like, I don't know if it's people just want to go back and drink, or people actually want to see music, but I think it's because they want to go see music, It's kind of funny, but like, yeah, there's definitely a want for that here, there's nothing better than getting in, like, sweaty crowd and just rocking out, and it's great, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, the message I get here is, because I made the analogy to office space or whatever, but there really isn't a comparison there, because office is about work. Going to see music and be with people is a whole nother thing, and you can't replace it, I don't think, online, at least as I can imagine. So, but it's the future will bring changes for sure.
If I can jump in, I think the two sort of not people but entities I'm worried about are the music venue, and specifically the mid-level music venue. And I know here in Minneapolis, even before the pandemic, there were a lot of great sort of mid-capacity, not like, a couple dozen people, we were all crammed in, and not 500, like a nice middle ground, right? And as a band, as an artist, you need some of those spaces to be able to grow, and you usually just can't jump from the little coffee house, right, to the big theater. So I'm really worried about just nationally some of those mid-level places. And then also, I feel that as gigs have been coming back here, very intermittently, but much more so with the weather, the challenges that I feel the larger gigs, the gigs that I was able to base my salary and income around, those are the ones that have the largest audiences, meaning they're going to take the longest time to come back. And so it's nice to have some work playing outside my mom and pop, tavern or whatever, and make a little money or something and play some live music during the summer, but it's not the same level of income that I was expecting going into 2020. And I'm sure some other people feel that way.
Hello, I'll chime in. I just switched over to a hotspot, so if my signal seems stable, someone just wave your hands wildly so I'll know to be quiet for a minute. I agree with all of this, that Greg is alluding to a sense of wondering how long it's going to take for the larger venues to make a return. And I can agree that the larger venues will probably take the longest time of all. So I feel bad for all of the mainstream or AAA artists that have shifted their tours to spring this year or next year, because I'm not even sure they will get it. Rather, I think the immediate future for a lot of us, it's still going to be in weddings, small to mid-sized corporate, playing at wineries in the summertime, playing for your 4-year-old cousin's birthday party with his rich uncle in Glendale. Like, it's kind of, you do what you can. And when someone comes along with a well set up, socially distanced event, you take it. Like, oh my gosh, you take it, because some people are starting to really get their hands on, they're all starting to really understand like what the government expects from them, what they can do, and they're making events that fit the guidelines, and they go off and you get to play again. My band had one of those last month in Hawaii, and that was wonderful for us. But it's still like few and far between. And I can imagine you'll see the small stuff come in first, followed by the mid, and then the big stuff. And when the big stuff comes back, that's when you know we're all good.
Yeah.
I'm actually taking a different approach with this whole pandemic. Me not being able to perform, I've used that time to upgrade my tools because I'm using it as an opportunity for me to get ready when everybody is able to go back, because people are going to be dying for live music. So I figured I might as well upgrade all my stuff. So when people are ready to come back, I'm ready for whatever big opportunity comes my way. So I'm looking at the silver lining. Yes, I'm not able to perform as much and my income has tanked, but also I'm using it as an opportunity for me to go even far beyond where I was in 2019, because I'm like, okay, I can use that time to educate myself, practice more, do other stuff that I was not comfortable with, so that I could have more hats. So if something like this happened again, that I have a safety net, so that I'm not going to rely on live gigs or something like that, so that I could have, because I just had a baby. He's 4 months old. So I'm thinking of ways to be able to take care of my family so I don't have to depend on live music. So now I started working with writing for producers. I can gain royalties and getting into the more things that don't I'm going blank right now, but don't involve playing live. So anything that could give me some kind of residuals is what I've been focusing on while I can't perform.
Thank you. One of the joys I have every morning is seeing you doing yoga with your daughter and seeing those pictures. And thank you, because my abs are getting better. That's good. Thank you for that inspiration.
I noticed that Corey was looking a little healthier these days than usual. So thank you also, Guy. That's very much appreciated.
Of course. Yeah, but I'm a martial artist and yoga instructor. That's what I do outside of music.
One thing that I'm curious to hear is how everyone's been kind of adjusting to recording, because we've completely shifted to home studio. I think this is like, of any time, this is the perfect time for us to shift and build a home studio. And we've got one set up at my bandmate's house, and have really been learning and putting everything we've learned so far to use to do some session work and to record some new demos, record some new stuff for our album. I'm curious to see if anyone else has been doing some home recording and how that's been, because it's been really exciting for us, and also lots of challenges. Like we completely ripped apart our bandmate's attic and set up like CD box partitions and like flipped a bed to make a drum cave, and had to get really creative with what we had at the beginning of quarantine.
Well, I think, can I say something? I think that's really cool you brought that up, because like, I think this is like, this whole lockdown thing's kind of like allowed people to collaborate and record from home and kind of break down that boundary of like, oh, we really wanted to get together and collaborate, like thinking of collaborations you might have wanted to do a couple of years ago and going, wait a minute, why don't we just share files and just do some stuff now? And I've been doing a bunch of that. Like I've got a really cool kind of a project that's in the early kind of steps with another cellist called Michael Ronstadt, and we're writing stuff together. We're just firing files back and forth from each other, and that's been like super rewarding and really fun. And yeah, for sure, just like experimenting, just there's no boundaries, so it's like, it's definitely been pretty stimulating for me. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, totally. We've been using Dropbox more than we ever have.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for all of you, you missed out on my 2-part series through Strings Without Boundaries this past weekend on string recording at home. So I've definitely been thinking about that a lot since I just did a whole 2.5-hour presentation on that. But I agree, Katie, I think it's so cool that this hardware and software is becoming more ubiquitous, more affordable to the average musician. And like, I don't know if all y'all know about Soundtrap, but during the summer, I ran a whole rock camp where every student was able to record online to the cloud for free. And so, like, we were all recording our instruments online. And so the faculty recorded the parts first so the students could go listen to their parts and where they were and how it lined up. And it's such a cool opportunity if you are willing to embrace this new perspective. That's how best way to put it, right?
Yeah, our band recorded our last full band album totally at home. It was an intense experience. It was a lot of work for my husband Rob, who does all the engineering, and he was kind of like, I don't know if it was a great product, but he was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. It's just so much time, let's just have somebody else do it. But things being what they are now, I think we're going to be home recording our next project too. I also worry about the recording studios who are definitely losing income as well. We want to make sure they're supported. A lot of them are pivoting to doing live stream recordings where you can bring the band in and use the nice environment and studio to do that. So
yeah, this was a very interesting topic that came up in our educators meeting last night, and that is that y'all are players, and whether or not you're composers, you're all of a sudden thrown into the role of being a producer and engineer all at once. Any challenges or wins in learning this new construct?
It actually made me realize that I'm not a techie at all, because I try to figure out how to understand all these wires, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a long way to go, because it's years of just playing the cello. I felt like a third grader learning how to write a book. I barely know how to read now. They're telling me to do all these things. So that's how I feel right now. Overwhelmed, but I guess the challenge is always good. But thank God that I have friends that are professionals that I can dump everything to. Because I'm like, I do not want to learn all these things. No. I'll stick to playing the cello.
You need a bigger staff is what you need. Really, you need to have several people ready, to help you at every moment, and then you can do your art more.
It's okay, Guy. It took me like several years to figure out what compression was and how it worked. So I was a total buffoon in the beginning. And hey, by the way, as a U grad, South Florida love, so yeah, my little accomplishment with my production, and it also ties into what Guy was talking about with different revenue streams. I actually worked with a company to come up with an album of lullabies that's on Spotify right now. Let me tell you what, it's streaming a lot better than my originals were. Hate to say it like that, and you know what? I had the time. I made the lullabies the way I wanted to. I made them. I'm proud of how it sounds. I'll play it for my kids someday. It was the perfect time to sort of sit down and do that, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I kind of find it's just there's like nothing wrong with I know there is a kind of urge of feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not professional, maybe I can't do this, maybe I'm too scared to that. But I really find just getting in there, getting your hands dirty, just playing around with stuff and just seeing what sounds good and what sounds bad. You chuck it in the bin. It's like anything. You're writing something, you write some bad lyrics, you throw it in the trash and you write more. It's like you just try some things, see what sounds good. I mean, that's kind of it's kind of interesting. That's kind of like how I kind of approach my cello and learning how to play cello as well. I really kind of fought against it in the early days because I really wasn't really wanting to do classical music per se, because I grew up in a house of blues rock and Peter Frampton and all that stuff that I just would just love to just jam onto. So I was just I've been pretty experimental my whole life. So yeah, I just find just getting in there and just trying stuff, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just try and try,
I guess I'll chime in for a second. I started producing about a year before the pandemic really hit, and I gotta say, as an artist, as a songwriter, learning how to produce was the single greatest thing I felt I've ever done, because it pulls back the veil on the endless lines of waveforms that you see in a DAW whenever you work with a producer or an engineer, and you learn it's not so much magic as it is just like knowing the lingo and like being able to understand how to do it yourself, and it allows you to communicate with someone and do it better. So the next time you're in a position where hopefully you're not self-producing, but rather you're doing things the proper way, you're working with someone more qualified than yourself to produce your music for you, you can work with them better. And that to me like goes double for female artists, singers, songwriters, instrumentalists, where it's almost the more male dominated side of the field, production and engineering overall. And for that reason, some people that I respect most that I've been with in LA are female producers who are amazing, and they have syncs with like JC Penney and Wells Fargo and stuff like that. And it's just been they're really big inspirations of mine. So I guess one quick way to tie all this back in together and into NS is, while we're all in this place, while we learn to self-produce or record ourselves or look for other streams of income, it's a great time to consider doing music production style stuff on Twitch, on Happs. If you guys haven't heard of it, HAPPS, it's a multi-stream service that'll broadcast to Instagram, Facebook, etc. for you. I don't know if Twitch does that, or even TikTok for sure. Like if you guys are not on TikTok, check out TikTok right now. You're late. But there's plenty of people that do like production style fun stuff on TikTok, and it works really well. And literally right now, there's like Celtic, folk, Irish music making a come up on TikTok. I think it's Bard is another word for it, but like it has roots in like production, Celtic, and like I swear to God, if any of you guys show up with a cello right now and add to one of those tracks, you will go viral. So this is all like the really alternative world, and a lot of us aren't super used to it, but my God, it's a great time to get used to it. And yeah, I'm getting to a rambling point right now, but seriously, like self-producing is wonderful, and to hear some of you guys doing it makes me happy. So cross those streams and like get the revenue going, and get building your audience by live streaming or TikTok for sure. Like I would highly recommend it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brian and Greg. Guy, I think everyone's trying to send you a message that you should just dive in and start learning this stuff and not be afraid of it.
Little messages that I
Absolutely.
need to, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to, I promise.
Good.
Yeah.
Why don't can we hear a little bit about maybe what might have led some of you to the NS Cello, and maybe a little bit of the gear you use? I see, Greg, you've been chiming in on our live chat about different amplifiers people have been asking about, but let's hear, how did you come to be here? Through me and Ned.
Me?
Ned.
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, I was actually thinking about this today because I was like, what? So my cello is now 15 years old. So I got it all the way back when I was in college in 2006, and I wanted to play in the Funk Fusion Ensemble. And the teacher, Steve Rucker, was crazy enough to let me in there. And I was like, man, I can't play with these drummers with my cello feeding back and all the issues. And had little savings, called the wonderful people at the Electric Violin Shop, and they helped me make a very intelligent decision, and I've been rocking this axe for 15 years. I actually built a custom harness just because that's always fun to show off.
Oh, cool.
I really like having two shoulder support. Even for my bass guitar, I got a shoulder strap with two shoulders for longer gigs. And because I've also got a little bit of an injured left shoulder, I find it really helps distribute the weight longer. And then what I actually did, I don't know if Ned's ever seen this, I took your body brace and I chopped it in half. So that's where it stops. And then I attach my own part so that my stomach comes up on it. Oh yeah, there's the wide view. All right, so there's the side view, right? So I've got the point of contact on the chest like I would normally have with my cello. But I was finding, and I mean, this was years ago. I made this harness like 7 or 8 years ago. I don't know what other harnesses were there.
What took you so long to show it to me, man?
I've been out here playing it. I've been selfish, keeping it to myself, right? So basically the idea was just to move the body away from myself a little bit. And so it's still got the system where you can unscrew it here. And then this portion comes off as well. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a little bolt pin. I'm not going to take it all out, but it's great. It's very stable. And the other big thing I didn't even touch on was that I really was trying to find a 5-string instrument. I was really excited about playing with a higher range, and this has allowed me that. So I mean, this instrument has shaped my whole career. It's not exaggerating to say that. So thank you, guys.
I want to know a little more about it. We'll get into that later because it looks very interesting.
Happy to get into it.
That's interesting, Greg, that you were mentioning you're playing with a high E, correct?
Yeah, and I have the NS electric strings on here. Thank you, Diodario Orchestral. The best strings ever on here. They sound great, and especially like I've tried other high E's, and they break in like a week. And the high E, oh, sounds great on here. It's not too thin. It's perfect. It sounds great. In fact, you know, I think I'm hot here. Let's see how we're doing. Can you guys hear that? So yeah, I mean, I just really feel like, for me, I do also play bass. So I had a low F on this, and I was kind of like, wait a second. If I put a high E on here, I can shred. Okay, cool. Oh wait, let me do a little more shred on here. So my pedals are off screen a little bit, but I work with this company. Nothing's going to come up here. I work with this company, Exotic Effects, and so I use their EP booster and their AC Plus. I really, really like their analog distortion pedals. Really, really great stuff. I've been using this a lot. This is a Luminary octave pedal. It's great because it has a wet-dry blend. It also has a tack knob, so you can roll in the highs or lows. And I've kind of been just playing around with all sorts of stuff while messing around in the studio here. And in fact, since we didn't touch on it, the video I made specifically for this little virtual festival, I really got to bust out a bunch of different sounds on the NS since I made an original composition, and I recorded all the parts using only this cello or my friend Ernest's NS violin.
Yeah, I got to say,
wonderful piece. Thank you.
Greg, Greg, hearing the cello through the vocoder was pretty cool.
Oh man, that's super fun, and that actually is for one of my gigs, for my solo gig. I got a fancy little looper from TC Helicon, the Voice Live 3, and that has a bunch of really cool effects built in. And so I stumbled on the talk box and I was like, ooh, I need to use this. Need to use this somewhere. So it was awful fun making it for you guys, and it wouldn't have been possible without such a great instrument. So thank you
very much.
That was actually real sexy. You made a 5-string cello now. Oh my goodness, you made it sound so cool.
I mean, I try to be cool.
Yeah, man. It's all about the high E string, man. It makes me really happy that you're using the high E on there. I kind of had a similar story when I got my NS, which I actually think this cello, this CR5 I have, I think is one of the first ones that was made in the Czech Republic. Like, it might even be number 1. I'm not entirely sure. I think so. But I mean, I got it with a low F, and then it's pretty battered up now. But I got it with the low F, and then I later down the line, changed it to the high E. But I really loved I loved experimenting with different tunings and stuff. So having that high E for chords and stuff and different things, especially with the effects I use, is really, really, really fun, man. You know, I don't know if I've got my guy on there. Let me see. I love, you'll see I'll make a video that I made for you guys for the demonstration. I've experimented with I love a volume pedal. I feel like for swells and stuff, it's a lot of fun. Let's see if I'm on here. I'm gonna play a second for my amp to warm up, but yeah, just for all that kind of stuff, and I love it for it just sounds great for chorus. Okay, going on here. Here we go. Check this out. So you got that swell in the chord that I love. It's really good for building up and stuff. It works with that high E and all the spectrum. It's awesome. Still fun. I don't know if you can hear that.
What are some of the tunings that you've tried? I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Top secret, by the way. No, that's no, seriously, no. But I just experiment with I studied shortly with Eric Friedlander for a little bit, and I was kind of going through lots of different tunings, and I just one thing that inspired me from him was dropping the A down to a G and having that nice open kind of chord from that. I love doing that kind of stuff. When I was experimenting, doing covers of Stevie Ray Vaughan tunes and stuff, I used that tuning for that. That worked really fun for Cold Shot and things like that. But yeah, no, it's kind of I kind of got a bit inspired a little bit by the John Butler Trio, bands like that, kind of surf rock bands, and what you got here. This is a cool thing, Ned. You're gonna really hate me here, or you're gonna love me. I don't know, but I actually put the strings up a full step on this, and the D'Addario strings are really, really good for that. But that's how I get that. So I've got my C to D, G to an A, D to an E, A, E. So you got that. Great for bluesy stuff.
Go for it, man. I mean, that's the idea. You do whatever you want with these instruments. I don't have an idea what you're supposed to do with it. In fact, every time I see someone step over a line someplace, I go, great. And the other thing, what's interesting for me, especially, connecting with you guys this afternoon, and also, looking back, for some reason, cellists seem to be particularly adventuresome. And in a lot of ways, I started out in the guitar world, and just at the end of the period where the electric guitar, the possibilities for the electric guitar were being explored, and where there was this tremendous amount of innovation of new technique with what kind of music you could make with a guitar, because the electric guitar had all these new possibilities. And so it was the day of the pioneers, but you guys are the pioneers for the cello right now, because, well, you're a little late to the game maybe compared to guitar players, but also really there's a history in that. And the opportunities that you have with the cello now did not exist before, largely because of the piezo pickup, because, and so these things are technology driven as well. So partly it is just an evolution of thinking for string players, but it's also evolution of the technology that you can access and really create with. So magnetic pickups do not work well, generally speaking, for a bowed instrument. But now we have the new technologies that bring out the sound quality that you are looking for with a bowed instrument. So it opens up all these possibilities for you guys who are making new music and are pioneering new sounds. And so it's obviously extremely exciting for me. And my hat's off to you for having that kind of creative energy.
awesome.
Can I say one quick thing? I feel like I haven't said anything this whole time. You guys are all saying great stuff. I'm loving it. I have so many things to say, but there's, no time. One thing I'm going to say, does anyone else wish, is this possible, guys, to put a battery life indicator on the back of the cello? I'm sick of worrying that my cello is going to die in the middle of a performance. I'm stressed out about that all the time. If you leave it plugged in on accident, I don't know how much it got drained. That's seriously like one of the biggest things for me. Am I the only one?
Yo, dude, I'm with you, man. So hardcore on that. I've so many times. Oh shit! Is it the battery? Okay, it's not. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and the sound, and when the battery starts to die, there's this weird. It starts to sound weird and glitchy. Like there's, you know what I mean? And you're like, is that the effect? Like, what is that going on? Anyway,
every single cable, thinking it's a cable issue. Check every single one.
Exactly. And then it ends up being just a battery.
Yeah, Ned, I think you have some homework.
Well, I think to a certain degree, we've done some of that homework because I understand the issue about batteries, and batteries also are an ecological disaster. So we have the circuits that we use with a supercapacitor, where you can plug your instrument in for 1 minute into the wall. It's kind of a strange concept for people who are used to. You never plug your instrument into the wall, but in this case, you have a wall wart. You plug your instrument in for 1 minute, and you're fully charged for 16 hours, and you do not have to worry about batteries at all. So it's not a wholly simple situation in that the supercapacitors have a limited amount of power, and it needs to be handled very, very efficiently. And fortunately, I've had an opportunity to get to know someone who I have tremendous respect for, is Mikhail Ioffa, who is the founder of the MySci company. And we offer that in our NXTA instruments. And it's really kind of a view of the future, because we really don't need batteries. And conventional circuitry, and of course there are things that are happening with batteries that you cannot do with a supercapacitor. So it's not just a slam dunk, but it's something to look into if you're concerned about that anxiety about the battery, which I can relate to, because after all, these batteries, you don't want to replace them unnecessarily because you're polluting the earth, and plus it costs money, right? So I think the future, batteryless future, is in the future, and it's not so far away. So I get your point, Zach.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I did want to say, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I switched out my CR for the NXTA last year, and it relieved so much stress. And I still use my CR for studio stuff because I love in the studio, it's so much less stressful than when you're on stage.
Totally.
So.
Less at risk for sure. Yeah, that's maybe something I consider. I did try an NXT, A compared to the CR4, and I heard kind of a noticeable difference. So like for live, it's hard to compromise, But I mean, man. Anyway, I did want to say something as well, talking about producing ourselves, and this era right now where there's kind of no live shows. By the way, Calum, I lived in Scotland for 2 years.
No way.
Yeah, I love Glasgow, man. Yeah, I have a lot of good friends in Glasgow. Now you too.
Yeah, damn right.
But man, we've been producing, recording, engineering, and more recently mixing our own music for like 7 years now. And I have learned a lot over the years about how to like produce yourself. I still know nothing, and that's something that I'm sure I think we've all had, like whether it's music or something else. As soon as you start to really learn, you realize that the world of that topic is bigger than you could have ever imagined. And so the more you get into it, the more you learn, but then the more you feel like you don't know, because you realize it's just this massive thing that's going to take like a whole lifetime to achieve and to really master. Anyway, I have learned a lot though, and one thing I will say is I think we should all definitely like learn about everything, like what we're talking about, Guy. Like definitely try to dive more into producing, learn what a compressor is, learn the best kinds of reverb, learn how to mic/record your cello the best way for the sound that you want. You know, get experimental with blending a mic, maybe a room mic, stereo mic with a DI, with, you know, maybe there's a dry and a reverb. And, you know, there's so much stuff on YouTube though, you guys. I have learned an enormous amount of stuff on YouTube. Like Produce Like a Pro, Warren Hewart has amazing stuff. Pensado's Place. Watch all of the Into the Lair videos. Yes, thumbs up from Pensado's Place, and he's a mixing engineer. But you can learn. I mean, he breaks it down simply, and essentially he says, "I don't know." Hans Zimmer said, "I'm convinced I don't know how to score your film." I mean, all the greats say they don't know, and it's because a lot of it is just like you have to feel it, and there's all these tools. It's like a chef with all these ingredients. You know, there's a compressor, there's cinnamon, there's salt, there's whatever, right? I know nothing about cooking. Cinnamon and salt. Come on. But you know, they're ingredients, right? They're tools, but it doesn't matter what tools you have. You can have the best plugins and the best cello, which we all have, right? You can have the best preamp though. You know, a preamp makes a big difference. And what about this reverb? And you can get into all that, but honestly, it doesn't matter. You can have the best hammer, but you still can't build a house, you know? I think we do really need to learn all of the basics, but I think we all also need to figure out what we are really passionate about. Like, look yourself in the mirror at a certain point and say, what is it that I actually am best at? What is it that I really love doing? Because if you wake up and you're like, I gotta like figure out how to freaking mic my cello again, like in a new way, like if you're dreading that, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you need to reach out to an engineer friend at that point. Or if you're loving producing, but you look at mixing and you're like, I don't want to mix. I cannot figure out how to sidechain compress this kick and this sub bass to make it work together. I've got a top end. I can't do it. That's not my thing. Well, maybe you need to hire a mixing engineer. And to be honest, we've always had our stuff mixed professionally. I have learned to mix over the past couple of years. I think maybe 10, 20 years from now, I might be like a professional mixing engineer because I actually love mixing, I've found out through the whole process, but I love producing. But I will try to mix a song right now, and I will do a good job, I think. And then I send it off as a test. I send it to like a mixing engineer, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than I could have imagined. And I have picked several professional mixing engineers' brains about like, hey man, could I produce this better? What about the recording quality? And honestly, like mixing is a huge, huge part of how your track is going to sound good or not. It's kind of like you don't need the best stuff. Well, work with what you've got. If you don't have the best mic, you don't need to buy that U87 or like just use what you've got. It's all about the quality of the composition, right? And as a recording, mixing can be a huge thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you guys are looking to get your stuff, if it's all done and you've kind of mixed it and you think it sounds good, dude, send it to a mixing engineer and I could give you names. I mean, honestly, just like $300 and you can get some incredible mixing. Some of these mixing guys cost like charge like $5-10 grand for a song. Don't do that. do like $300 guy, you know, and he does an incredible job. Anyway, I could talk for hours, but that's me.
Thank you so much, Zach. We've got a couple of questions here. If we can jump onto that. People are wondering what are people using for amplification? And Zach, you can jump right in because you did that for your demo earlier today.
Oh, I did, yeah. You know, I just have a Roland like keyboard amp, and it's just for like in here, you know, rehearsing or vibing, jamming. It's got a bass, like a low and a high, very basic EQ. I don't want to have anything kind of affected on that because I use the Pod HD 500X from Line 6. I do want a Helix, but this works great for us. And I like to find all the sounds and the amp heads and all the EQs and verbs and delays in the pedal board, and then I just use the Roland keyboard amp just for. And if I had it, I mean, if we had a gig, we usually get like a live sound guy there with like a better live sound setup, and so he can mix us and make it sound better. If it was just me, I have done some solo cello gigs just for fun here and there, and I just use the Roland keyboard amp. Just makes it loud. It's good.
I'll pop in real quick. Unfortunately I have to leave around 4 o'clock, but I've actually done more direct than I've used amps throughout the career of our band. And that's, I mean, one, as long as you have good monitors, or we've switched to in-ear monitors for the last couple years because we're sponsored by Shure. And so we also use the wireless units. And my bare minimum for going direct personally that I love is the LR Baggs Venue DI, just because it's a great like preamp with built-in tuner, built-in kill switch, and a really good EQ, and then reverb. And those two with if you're in a situation with, you know, a solid sound engineer, we're lucky that we have our own traveling front of house engineer. So that's typically what I use instead of an amp.
As far as myself, I use a Boss ME80. Looks like this. And what I like about it is because I can also connect it to my laptop and see all the sounds, because obviously this one doesn't have any writings. So obviously there are 36 channels. It's kind of impossible for me to remember everything. So I'm able to see on my laptop all the sounds that I create. You can pretty much custom name them. So you can have like a solo reverb outdoor. It could get as specific as that one. So you understand different settings require different things. I could just pop in my laptop and just look at the name, the listings, and then pick whatever sound that I want. I mean, I mostly use either heavy metal or wah-wah, or the little airy reverb stuff. So, but I experiment from time to time, depending on how I feel. To sound like a violin or a trumpet. It all depends on how bad I want to freak people out when they hear me play. I always get a kick out of that, seeing their reaction.
I have a couple different amps that I use for different settings. When I'm doing more acoustic stuff, this is actually my old acoustic image. I love this company. I love this amp. It surprises everybody because the 10-inch speaker's on the bottom there. So this is really portable. It lived in my car for many years. This was a workhorse. It was a great investment. And on all my acoustic instruments, cello and upright bass, I put vocals in here. It all sounds wonderful. Electric cello sounds great, but it is definitely a clean amplifier. The other amp company that I've messed around with is Ashdown Engineering. And they're a British company, and they make bass amps. And I had a 2x10 that I just worked into the ground, and it sounded so good. If I was doing heavier distorted NS, that thing could handle the low end without blowing up. It was a workhorse. It worked really well. So I feel like, once again, depending on if I'm going for a little more like acoustic vibe, or if I'm rocking out with somebody, I might want to bring a different amp.
So what happened to the Ashdown amp?
Oh, somebody stole it, unfortunately.
Oh.
Very sad, but I also am not sure it was actually even working still. So, but it won't be in the Byers Museum one day, unfortunately.
I mean, it's funny you say Ashdown. I want to jump in there because, like, I think an Ashdown's like really perfect for the cello. It sounds really good. I think I had a similar thing to you, but I kind of go between, like I was saying, with my. I was actually using the German company Lele for the switcher pedals and the volume pedals. I'm endorsed by them, and they're an amazing company. But like, so I switch between my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe and for the distortion. So I go through a SansAmp into the Fender Clean, you know, so I can mess around. If I'm sitting down playing, I can mess around on here. And then the AAR for all my acoustic, my like my stuff, my clean, but my effects are still going through kind of everything. But it depends, you know. It depends on the venue. If I need the Ashdown for my clean thing, I'll do that. If I use that, I'll use that. Or sometimes what I do, if it's like a big place, like if I'm playing my own stuff, then it would be just DIing my clean channel and then miking up the Fender. You know, that works great. Nice big sound and a nice big system. So that's kind of what I do.
Well, gosh, thank you, everybody. This has just been really, really wonderful, and what a great group. And from myself, thank you for all the entertainment and the inspiration this year. Watching you from afar and seeing all the great videos and your live streams has been wonderful for myself and my family, and I certainly appreciate that. So let's give everyone a hand. Maddy, Calum, Guy, Kristen, Brian, Katie, Ned, Greg, and Zach. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
learned so much tonight and had so much fun, and I so appreciate the commitment you have to your music and to making a better world. So keep it up, and thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Ned, for everything you guys do.
Got it.
Thank
Did
you.
it. Great to meet you guys.
Peace
Thanks,
out.
everyone. Thanks, Ned, for the awesomeness.
Thank you.
Y'all rock. Y'all are doing good things.
Hello.